Okay, it's Voice of Shay again, and now we're going into part 3 of how I handled my essay from my husband. All right, so where we left off is where he was sodomizing me, and during this time, I'm screaming bloody murder. I'm hoping that his mother can hear me in the other part of the house. She does. She comes to the room and she knocks on the door, and she asks, Mark, what's going on? And he yells out, mind your business, mind your effing business. And she gets quiet and walks away. So she doesn't help me. So, matter of fact, she doesn't even know what's going on. All she knows is that I'm screaming. So, the next day, I go to the doctor because let me back up. So that night when I went to the restroom, I'm bleeding, like hemorrhaging. So the next day, I take myself to the prenatal clinic, and I have an appointment with the doctor, and he tells me that I didn't even tell him what happened. I just let him examine me and let him tell me what's going on. So he asked me, so are you engaging in, are you, I don't know if I can say this. Anyway, are you guys having sexual intercourse from behind? And I said, I don't want to. And he says, so your husband is raping you? And I put my head down. Now, mind you, I'm 18. So I'm a little naive. So I'm like, I don't know how to answer the question. He says, do you know that you can be raped by your husband? And I said, no. And he says, I tell you what. He said, I don't want to get in your business. He says, but I'm going to write you a note, a note to your husband. And he wrote a letter saying that I was to stay in bed. I was bedridden for like 3 weeks. And that I was to refrain from having that type of intercourse until after the baby was born. And that was his way of trying to help me. So I bring the letter home, and my husband reads the letter, and he says, you effing told the doctor. And I told him I didn't. And he says, you did. So me being in bed lasted for a day. After that, it was back to being basically a servant wife, serving him, his mother, washing their clothes, cleaning their mess in the kitchens. And, I just kept quiet. I was like a servant to them. So, moving on with the story, it was now time for him to go to the military. So they decided to have a going-away party for him the night before. So I was actually due in like 2 days. So I'm really big. And we go to this party. We take his mother's car and we go to this party. And it's all his family's relatives and cousins and stuff. And the only person I know is really him. So he tells me I'm getting ready to go get some ice and some drinks, and I'm coming right back. It probably was about maybe 5 or 6 in the evening. The sun is still up. So music is going, everybody's partying and stuff. And about 8 o'clock, I'm wondering, gosh, it sure is taking him a long time, So I asked some of the cousins, did anybody know where he was? They didn't have cell phones then. So everybody's like, no, he said he was going to get drinks. He said he was coming right back, and the liquor store is just right down the street. So I'm like, okay, yeah, all right. So I wait. So about 12, almost 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, I hear his car pull up, and then I hear him and someone outside arguing. And I thought they were fighting. So I came outside, and as I'm coming out the door, I see them, arguing with each other, leaning on the car. And I hear his cousin say, man, you can't have all the pussycat you want. You're married now. And so I looked. I was like, what? So I walked over to him, and I pushed him, and I said, what's going on? So what had happened was that the girl I was telling you, Sheila, in church, that he was there, was Google Eye and stuff. Well, the two of them, he went and picked her up and drove her into a field area not far from where we were. And they had sex, and I guess she was still in love with him. This is a story they tell me that when he dropped her off, she was saying something about him breaking up with me or something like that. We just got married, but she wanted to be with him. And so she said that she was going to tell the police that he raped her. And so he's afraid that this is on their way. At the same time, that night, the U.S. Army was on their way to pick him up too. So he is frantic because he doesn't know what she's going to do. And so we leave the party. His cousin takes us over to their house to wait for the military to come pick him up. And we go and we sleep in one room. We're sleeping on the floor. And I'm crying. I'm just brokenhearted. I'm crying. I love my husband. And like I said, in my mind, I'm going to be married for life, So I can't see something like this happen. This is like crazy, So I'm crying myself to sleep, and he's sleeping behind me. And all of a sudden I smell the smell. And the smell is the smell of this woman's coochie. That's the smell I'm smelling. So I'm so heartbroken. I'm crying like that, and he's trying to console me, and I'm trying to get his hand off me. And by this time, it's now 4 o'clock in the morning, and the military comes, knocks on the door, and picks him up and takes him away. The next night, I had my daughter. I had the baby. Moving forward, he came home after boot camp, and of course I was still staying with his mom. And we were supposed to go to church that Sunday, and he didn't want to go to church. Actually, I knew that he was trying to go over a woman's house, and I told him that, you're going to church with us. Now, he did not know that I knew karate, and while I was pregnant, I could not use karate because I was pregnant. So now my daughter is laying in the center of the bed, and I'm taking my earrings off so I can whoop this ass. And he says, I'm not going to church. And I said, yeah, you are going to church. And he says, who are you talking to? I said, I'm talking to you. So he pushed me in the chest, and I pushed him back in the chest. So he went to slap me, and I blocked him. And he looks at me. Now, mind you, he just went through boot camp. So he's supposed to be badass, right? So he swung again. I blocked him again. So he hit me in the face with his fist. Pow. I hit him back in the face. Pow, right back. So then we just start going at it. We went from the bedroom all the way through the dining room area past the kitchen into the den. Well, we're fighting. We were fighting. So his mother comes in the bedroom, and into the den, and she says, oh my God, the devil's in this house. I can't believe you guys are fighting on a Sunday, and blah, blah, blah. So she's standing in front of me. He's standing behind her, and he's looking at me saying, when she leave, I'm going to kick your ass. Now, she don't hear because he's lipping it. And I'm just standing there being respectful, saying, yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, so this is getting ready to end in a few minutes. But when she left, he swung, I swung. He flipped over the couch. I ran around in front of the couch, jumped on top of him, straddled him, and just blop, 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 blop in every ear. Hold on now, my friend here. So I started hitting him in every ear, just blop, 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 blop. So all of a sudden he jumped